Hello guys and welcome back to Dark Horse FM, and in today's video we're going to be carrying out a unique test in FM22. We're going to be testing out RDF's defensive Diego Simeone tactic created for Atletico Madrid. But we're going to be testing out with four unique teams: Girona, Newcastle, Brighton, Hove Albion and Burnley. I'm going to go over why I selected those teams in a second, but looking at RDF's tactic, he designed this tactic for Atletico Madrid, focused on remaining solid at the back and hitting teams with lightning precision like a cobra. As I mentioned, it was built for Atletico Madrid, or it was built with Atletico Madrid in mind. So most of the roles selected would work for Atletico Madrid players, right? I know that Renan Lodi is normally on this left hand side as a complete wing back on attack. I'm going to obviously try and figure out who the other players are, but I know Ronaldo can play as a wing back, as a wide centre back defense in this position. João Felix might play as a false nine, and then Luis Suarez can play as a striker. Anybody, that's me thinking of Atletico Madrid, right? So the teams I have chosen to test out this tactic, they are underdog teams, and they are the teams that would readily sit back and defend and be solid at the back. That's why I selected Newcastle, Brighton, and Burnley. They are all English teams, by the way, except for Girona, which ideally in Girona's sense they're not a lower league, not lower league, that's not the word. They're not the team that is predicted to finish bottom of the league. I think Girona is mid-table, somewhat mid-table. That's where they're supposed to finish in the Spanish LaLiga Adelante. So they're predicted to finish 8th. So I'm expecting a bit more from Girona, but it's going to be tricky to see how this is going to work for a team that is mid-table, like 8th on the table, to see where they're going to finish. Looking at Newcastle, on the other hand, we can see just how where Newcastle are predicted to finish, despite the fact that they have all that money. I'm using the database that Newcastle has a lot of money. So we're going to look at their immediate prediction. Newcastle United are predicted to finish in 7th because they have a lot of money. So that's going to be unique to see how it works out for them. Brighton are also in this test, and they are predicted to finish 14th, and Burnley are predicted to finish 17th. So we're going to see how the defensive Diego Simeone tactic created by RDF is going to work. Gentle reminder, this tactic was created for Atletico Madrid, so as much as it is defensive, it also has advanced roles, as you can see in the, or as we saw when we looked earlier, the complete wing back and the wing back on attack as well, the mezzala on attack. These are quite advanced roles. The false nine support as well. These are quite advanced roles for teams in the bottom side of the league. So we're going to see how the tactic works out for them. So if you're new to the channel, remember to leave a like on this video, and also to subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications when new videos come up. Also turn on the notification bell as well. So we're not going to look at the tactic in detail. That's where the link in the description comes in. You can check the description down below. You will find a link to RDF's detailed version of how this tactic was created. It's a lengthy one, and it has a lot of information as well. You can, like, following RDF's methods, you should probably be able to create an ideal tactic for whichever team you're using. So just hit the link in the description down below, and you will see how RDF was able to create this masterpiece of a defensive tactic. And you can also learn a lot from him on how to create a tactic for your team as well. It's a very, while we're not going to go into the tactic in detail, we're going to go into the tactic on the surface, right? Looking at the goalkeeper, he opts for a standard goalkeeper on defend duty, and then 2 wide centre backs on defend duty as well. There's 1 central defender on cover, so no ball playing defender here. The wing back on the left hand side is a wing back on attack duty, and looking at the internal instruction, he just has to take more risks and shoot less. The wing back on the right is on defend duty, shoot less often. Looking at the wide centre backs, these are their 2 instructions. I think it's identical on both sides. The covering defender has just no instructions whatsoever. Sweeper keeper, no, it's not a super keeper, sorry. Oh my god, it's a goalkeeper on defend duty. I'm used to saying super keepers. With their, obviously, I forgot to mention something really important. There are 2 versions of this tactic. I should have said that from the beginning, right? Yep, there are 2 versions for this tactic, and then in the more balanced version, it has a complete wing back on attack duty, and then in the slightly more defensive version, even though the mentality is still balanced, it has a wing back on attack duty, and this one is complete wing back. So that's the difference between both tactics, right? Mezzala has no instructions. Central midfielder on defend duty, no instructions. Carrilero, no instructions. You can see that I'm jumping through both tactics, so there isn't much difference between the 2. It's just in the sense that one is the complete wing back on attack duty, and then the other one is the wing back on attack duty. I can see that there's an internal instruction on both tactics. By the way, both strikers is 1 advanced forward on attack. He has some instructions. These are the instructions for the advanced forward. I need to really streamline my ideas here, and then the false 9 just mark tighter. And when they're out of possession, this is the way the instructions look so far, and then we're going to see how it is in the other tactics. So what stands out that is different? The lower defensive line. So RDF opts for a lower defensive line in a more defensive setup of his tactic. The defensive line is slightly low, and the team has been asked to, show the opposition outside. That's a more narrow defensive width. Looking at the in transition instructions, hold shape and regroup. Wow, this is something I tried with Sunderland, and we got absolutely battered all around the pitch by teams in League One. I had to actually change it. But with Atletico Madrid, it's unique how this tends to work, but it seems like Atletico is somewhat sitting back from the opposition most of the time. So maybe that's the way Diego Simeone enjoys to play the game as well. So it tends to work for Atletico Madrid. But I'm going to see how this is going to work in the Premier League for Newcastle, Burnley, and Brighton, and also Girona, which is in the Spanish league as well. But we're going to see how, if this tactic can actually help teams that are in the bottom side of the Premier League, if they can actually help them defensively. And just to recall, in case I did not already say it before, this tactic was created for Atletico Madrid. I do not expect it to work as well as it might be for all these other teams, because Atletico is an elite side in Football Manager. Based on my opinion, they are an elite team, so it's going to be tricky to see how this tactic works out for them. But I'm eager to see what's going to happen. We'll see how the results works out for all these teams, and then see if the tactic actually helped them, avoid relegation of some sort. So 31st of May, we're back. Let's just see who died and who failed. So what happened? Looking at the competitions, we're here at Girona. Girona finished where they started, 8th, 41. They played 41 games, so there are 22 there are 22 teams in the Spanish second division. I did not actually know that before. So Girona has lost 13 times with this tactic. They've drawn 10, and then they've won 18. But they're still 8, so it looks like they had a somewhat average season. But looking at the league table, Girona are not in the top anything, so it seems that they were quite defensive, and then they managed to hold their own and just finish where they were supposed to finish. So not bad for Girona. Let's see the other teams then. Oh, 2 managers got sacked. So Brighton is the only survivor. Burnley and Newcastle actually axed their managers, so I'm going to assume it did not work out for them. Let's go look at Brighton and then see how everything worked out at Brighton Hove Albion. Looking at Brighton so far, they finished 10th on the table. So Brighton, that was predicted to finish 14th, got 4 places higher. They finished 10th, and then they had a -9 goal difference, and they lost 13 times. And you can see that they lost to most of the big sides. So it looks like Liverpool, Manchester United, Man City, and Chelsea. They lost 5-2 to Chelsea. They lost heavily, by the way. So it shows that, well, for some extent, if you're a lower league side, sitting off might not really help you that well. So sorry about that. Might be something you have to reconsider. But if you're an elite side, it might actually help you, gather up some points. But in-game management has to also play a role here. I have to admit, RDF is probably very good at in-game football manager management. So that's also going to be something to look at. And then looking at the team stats, that we can see, I don't expect to see Brighton or anybody at all in this top list, but Brighton are currently 13. They scored 49 goals. They didn't score that many goals, but you can see that looking at their schedule, really, let's just see the kind of games that they had. So look, excluding friendlies, they did win against Swindon. They drew to Leeds. They beat Man City at some point. Okay, hold on. Good results here. Brighton ended up beating Man City at home. Then they won Brentford, and then they beat Bristol Rovers in the cup. They beat Chelsea as well. So most of the teams that they've actually lost to, they have actually won them also. They beat Watford, and then they fell out to Southampton. So that's terrible. They did fall out to Southampton, and then it seemed to fall apart here against Arsenal and Liverpool. So I'm going to attribute most of this to maybe some of their players got injured or something. But in all honesty, they did lose to Wolves, and then they beat Manchester United as well. So there's something unique about RDF's tactic right now. He can actually get big wins against the big sides. So with proper management, you'll probably be able to get better results. So this is an ideal tactic, guys. You guys will probably need to cap this in your locker as your backup defensive tactic. I kid you not. They did lose to Liverpool 4-0, but then again, it's Liverpool and it's at Anfield, so you can actually scrape this off. But then there's one standout defeat here to Norwich, away from home to Norwich, losing 4-1. That's not very good at all. So they went on a spin of defeats, lost to Leicester, lost to Spurs, lost to Everton, but all in all, they beat Arsenal. Hold on a minute. They beat Arsenal 4-2. That's something you have got to just. That's absolutely mental. They went on to beat, and then they went on to lose 5 to Chelsea. So, riddle me, Brighton. Come on, what? It's a bit inconsistent with Brighton, but I have to admit they had a stellar season. There's some wins in here that I did not expect, and I'm going to put that down to the defensive tactic that they actually set up. They did concede some goals, but they went on to win some of those games, like they and to nick a victory against Manchester United, for example. That's something really, really big. So Brighton and Girona were the only survivors. The other two teams got sacked, or the other two managers act from their respective teams, that's Newcastle and Burnley, they actually got sacked. So Brighton was the lone survivor that I probably think had the good results in this thing. Brighton and Girona as well. They did well with the tactic, finishing slightly above where they were supposed to. I'm not going to pick Girona because Girona finished in 8th and they were predicted to finish 8th, so there isn't much difference in where they finished. So Brighton is our main focus. They actually did well with the tactic. The tactic did work for them. Mind you, I simulated the entire season from beginning to end and I did not touch anything as regards to transfer, signing, injuries, or any of that. I did not touch anything. So this is how the tactic works off of Brighton and Hove Albion. With my opinion, with in-game management, you will do well with this tactic if you can actually manage your team well in-game. It will actually help you grind out big wins against big teams, like we just saw with Brighton right now. They actually did that without my help and they didn't have to touch anything. So it means that when you're in game, you will probably find a way to get big results out of these games, and it looks like it's actually going to work a treat for you. So do not forget, you can check out RDF's video in the description down below. I'm going to chat a link to his video in down below so you can see how he created this defensive tactic and how you can actually learn from his methods as to how he set up the tactic, and you can learn tweaks from that to see how you can tweak it for your own team. In case you want to build a tactic that is defensive for your side, you can actually create one of those tactics for you. So just check out RDF's video, guys. So by the way, that's a summary of the video, and remember to leave a like on this video as well if you actually found it useful. If you actually enjoyed the tactic, let me know what tweaks you would likely make to this tactic, if any. And also remember to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already subscribed, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.